David, you ready? You ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Tell us how it is, David. Tell us what's happened.
Love you, David.
Thank you so much, my friends. I was thinking about coming here today and what I might say, and it was hard not to get a bit angry. But with me being sentenced in 3 months' time, it's not a good idea to say anything other than thanks to everybody. I've had tremendous support, and as we expected, as I always expected, we could well lose the battle, but we will win the war. You know, there's no doubt about it. The government is a bit like the character Cartman in the animated series, standing their feet and saying, "You will respect our authority. You know, you must respect our authority." But the more shrill they get, the more they flash their plastic baton around, the more people realise it. You know, I went to a comedy act the other day, and Jordan Shanks, and it, you know, he pointed me out in the crowd, and I got a standing ovation from everybody in the crowd. You know, that's the real Australia. This very cosseted, strange, small circle in Canberra that echo chamber that says national security, that says Julian Assange has damaged national security by releasing the truth. You know, that becomes increasingly hollow, and yet people who work for the government, you know, I think they probably really believe it. Mark Dreyfus released something, I think, today about how wonderful his reforms were, and transparency in the rule of law and anti-corruption. He's got no idea, but the people do. The people know what's really going on. And as I've said before, and I can't obviously, I want to avoid specific details about today or about my case, but I always go back to the historical details and about the men that translated the Bible into English, and they were murdered by the state, and the state, that those people who did that convinced themselves that these the simple act of translating the Bible out of Latin into English was was a threat to national security. You know, and only about 10 years after the Tyndall was murdered by the state and by Thomas More, of all people, behind it, you know, who obviously thought he was a bit like Dreyfus, thought he was knew the law. The Tyndall's English version became the standard Bible. Now that's the world we live in. People convinced, Mike Pizzulos of the world, convinced that they are actually supporting the government, but don't realise that by becoming an effectively lawless society, a police state, where truth tellers are put in jail on the say-so of people who have already sold our country out to another country, that lie that national security is protected by keeping government crimes secret will only last so long. In my case, they never looked at the conduct. In Julian's case, they never looked at the conduct exposed. That never came into it. The only thing that came into it was whether or not it was classified information, as if that overrides any criminal conduct. Now, clearly it doesn't. Clearly in first-year law, you know that. You know that. We will win this. We will absolutely win this. And history has been made, the best history anyway, has been made by people like you that stand up in the face of apathy, stand up in the face of those who support government just because it's in their own interest. If you do something because you're going to be promoted and going to be thanked for it, you're not acting in the national interest, you're acting in self-interest. You people, on the other hand, aren't here because you're going to get promoted. You're not here because you're going to get a pat on the back down in the boys' club of Canberra, girls' club. You're here. You're in direct contrast to the people who ran the robo-debt scheme, who lied and cheated and in the name of their own self-advancement, and they got caught out. And now we have a race to the bottom over the latest High Court judgment, which obviously said you can't hold people in jail indefinitely unless they've been sentenced. It's a pretty obvious principle, but both sides of both sides of politics can't do enough to thwart the law. Simply because they think there might be a few votes in it. Anyway, you know all that, and I just want to thank you. I've had tremendous amount of support. I don't feel like a criminal. I will go to whatever fate awaits me in March with my head held high and with a sense of dignity, and I will use my own appearance, my own character and sense of self to contrast against those who hide in the shadows, speak out of the corner of their mouths and put me in jail and say I'm a criminal. I can't do it without you. I could not. There's only so much one person can do. Julian can't do it without you. And it's really all the same kind of case, state power getting out of control. But the way we can beat it is to speak quietly, with dignity, and repeat the same mantra. It can never be a crime to expose a crime. But it is something that whatever happens to Julian, whatever happens to me in years to come, I can guarantee you, you'll all be very, very proud for taking the stance that you took today and yesterday and last year and next year. You are the people that will save the world, save Australia. And while it's a thin red line at the moment, that's where the greatest battles have been won by. And again, I just can't thank you enough. Without your support, I would be dead, and so would Julian probably. And with your support, we can really change the world, and we'll certainly leave a legacy we can be very, very proud of.
Yeah.